All right, back on the morning drive on this Friday morning. Thanks for spending part of your morning with us here on News Talk 105.9. This interview segment brought to you by our good friends at Kelly Levitt and Blakey. They provide experience and supportive counsel to help clients through the process of filing bankruptcy. So no matter what your financial situation is, they can help. Let's go by and see them at their Valdosta office, 2912B North Oak Street here in Valdosta, 242-8838. Also, you can find out more at bankruptcyga.com. We continue our series of interviews with local political candidates. Joining us this morning, a candidate for State House, J.C. Cunningham in the studio. J.C., good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. It seems like I just saw you last night.
Maybe that was deja vu.
J.C., of course, was a part of our candidates forum last night at the Rainwater Conference Center. And again, we appreciate you guys spending time. I know whenever you're campaigning, and we say this with our local candidates as well, but of course, with your district you're running for, part of Lowndes County, Brooks County, and Thomas County, that's a lot of ground to cover.
It sure is.
And it takes a lot of time out, so I know your time's precious.
It does. It really does. I think I'm gonna take the day off and do some studying and get prepared for next week. But it's a lot of traveling, but again, it's well worth it because I've met so many people that I would have never had the opportunity to meet had I not taken on this endeavor. And you know, you drive by places and every day, and you just never know what's down that other street.
Right.
But now I found myself over the past 8 months driving on roads that I would have never ever driven on before. So it's been rewarding that way, Krista. For nothing else, I've met a lot of people, and things that I've taken for granted, I no longer take for granted quite as much.
Now, what do you know? What are some of those things you talk about?
Well, you know, sometimes if you're driving down just a highway, let's just say 84. You take for granted because you see the farms, you see the cattle, and you see the other vehicles driving by you and traveling past you, that you have this sense, this false sense of security that everything's okay. Mm-hmm. But, and I think subliminally you want to think it is okay.
Sure.
But then when you have to drive down that one road that you've never driven down, and all of a sudden you see someone living in a home, and they're doing the best they can do, but it's very modest and it's very in some cases a gentleman told me he hadn't had water for 4 or 5 days, and some people tell me that when told me that the flooding areas that I saw in the Paybo area and things like that. So a lot of things we just take for granted everyone's okay because we don't see it on the news or we don't hear it on the radio or read it in the paper. And so this opportunity has given me a chance to go down these side roads and find out how some of South Georgians are really living and how some of the pains that they really feel. And it's encouraged me more when I see that the next day to get up to go a little bit further, to investigate just a little bit further, because South Georgia does have a ways to go, and we have forgotten about some of our elderly, a lot of our farmers, a lot of folks that for some reason they don't get mentioned every day.
You know, one thing that you talked about last night, you talked about this throughout the campaign, JC, is the fact that we are one group in South Georgia. We're not necessarily Democrats or Republicans. You have to serve everybody if you're going to be in this office, and I know you say you think has been a problem and something you would like to address.
You know, it is a problem. It's not. It's only one way to say it. There is a problem. I just don't buy into this. It has to be a battle between Republicans and Democrats. You know, when I go to bed at night and you go to bed at night, you don't have a party affiliation. You go to bed, you wake up, and you have to breathe and talk and eat like everyone else. We've bought into this political system that you have to be a diehard loyalist to the Democratic Party or to the Republican Party. I don't buy it. I'm not going to buy it, and I would hope that the listeners and the voters and the citizens of South Georgia won't buy into it. We are all one. If we can't come together, the Republican Party, Democratic Party, we can't come together and talk in a bipartisan way, we're leading Georgia and we're leading the citizens of Georgia down a path that's going to take us many, many years to recover. So we're so worried about national politics and what the national media tells us how we should think and how we should feel, that we bought into it. And South Georgians don't have to buy into that. They don't. We all have the same problems, the same issues, and most of all, the same values. You know, it's amazing when I meet people. I meet people that making, you know, less than our medium income wage. I'm talking about $15,000 and $16,000 a year, and they think they're Republicans. And then I meet other folks that think that they're independents, and I ask them, you know, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say you're a Republican? What does it mean when you say you're independent? I just want to know.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10 they can't tell me. They bought into something that is not gonna help them prosper or help South Georgia prosper. I want to walk into Atlanta, into the Golden Dome, and be able to talk to folks across party lines.
Again, this morning we're joined by J.C. Cunningham. He is a candidate for State House of Representatives in District 175. Did I get that right?
175.
I have to get all my districts right. What are some of the other issues? Obviously, there are a lot that our legislature faces each and every year. Excuse me. What are some of the other issues, J.C., that you would like to focus on if elected to the State House?
Well, you know, you know, obviously, you know, we have this charter school amendment, and
Yep.
hopefully we'll come back to that. You know, unfortunately, that's going to be passed passed or defeated in November. So it already have been voted on. But if in fact that is passed, that would be one of the first things we will work on to try to see how we can restructure some things there.
And what are your views on church school, man? Let's get that out of the way.
Well, you know, first of all, I am not opposed to charter schools. I'm opposed to a private commissioned charter school authority deciding whether or not we should have charter schools in our local communities. You know, we elect the school board. We hire competent superintendents and staff, and I think that they are the ones who are best suited to decide on whether a charter school should be coming to our community or be in our community. And you know, I think you know, people don't realize we already have 180 public charter schools in Georgia already. It's not. We only have 180 counties, so it's not as if we don't have one in Lowndes County, but it's not as if the Department of Education has been opposed to charter schools.
Right.
We have to remember that there's a purpose for charter schools, but when we allow taxpayers' funds to pay for private charter schools, then we're gonna have a problem. See, you know, and the thing that cracks me up, Chris, is that you know the quote unquote conservatives are the main ones who've always talked about smaller government. But now these same folks are willing to say or turn their back on their same values to allow a charter school commission, 7 men, unelected men, with a combined salary to put this commission together, about $1 million in Atlanta to decide what we're going to do in Valdosta, Lowndes County, or Brooks County, or Thomas County. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why? And that's a slippery slope we're sliding. First, you know, it was the T-Splost, where if that would have been approved, it would have been a private commission using taxpayer dollars where we couldn't go to them. I mean, they didn't have to adhere to sunshine laws. We had no power to fire them or recall them. Thank God the citizens of Georgia saw through that. Now they're trying to overturn the Georgia Constitution for nothing more than, I say, power and money grubbing.
Again, J.C. Cunningham joining us this morning. There seems to be this notion, and I think it's reflected in all of Georgia, and certainly in the legislature as well, where Atlanta is growing and kind of you know, getting more and more power, while the rest of Georgia has to just do whatever they can to play catch up. Do you see that as a problem, and how do you address that?
How do you address it? Yeah, it's a problem. it's a problem when the governor of Georgia can make a statement or do a press release in the first part of October and speak of the job growth in Georgia, record job growth, and I don't really understand how that could be, but let's just take him for his word right now, and that 25 new industries came into the state of Georgia this past year. But when you look at his report that's on his website, it shows not one industry, major industry, coming below Crisp County. Okay, and that was just one. If you look at the governor's website only speaks of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. Never speaks of South Georgia. It's almost as if we don't exist. Our legislatures in Atlanta, in South Georgia, doesn't seem to realize that we don't have anything to apologize about. We have the resources in South Georgia, in Lowndes County, Brooks County, and Thomas County, that we can match up with Atlanta any day. I'm afraid that if we do not start making South Georgia a priority, it's not going to just affect South Georgia, it's going to ultimately affect the state of Georgia, revenue-wise. You think about what's happening in Brooks County over the past 20 years. Look at the major industries they've lost, and not one industry has been replaced to match anything they've lost. Well, that doesn't just hurt Brooks County, it hurts Lowndes County, it hurts Thomas County, it hurts Chicago County, it hurts South Georgia. We have folks out of work there that have never regained the status that they had before that. Home values have suffered over it. Home building has suffered over it. We thrived on folks from Brooks County coming over to Lowndes County and using our mall and shopping at our Walmart. Sure. Think about it. Brooks County doesn't have that type of facilities to use. Lowndes County were benefactors for the businesses that were in Brooks County. When you had the microcrafts, the Ithacas, the meat packing plants, the doors and trim. Well, when those jobs left Brooks County, that also affected Lowndes County. Sure. We have got to start thinking about how we can work as a metropolitan status and bring all these communities together and start coming up with plans to where we can start truly marketing ourselves. I understand we have an industrial authority, the same as Brooks and same as Thomas, but we have to work better together. And I think we need some leadership in Atlanta. When we find out in Atlanta, when I'm in Atlanta in January, when I know that XYZ company is coming to look at different sites in North Georgia, I'm going to definitely be having a delegation from South Georgia in Atlanta saying, hey, listen, I want a piece of that pie also. We deserve a piece of that pie. We pay taxes in South Georgia, and we need to get our fair share of the pie.
Again, J.C. Cunningham, our guest this morning, running for our House seat in District 174, part of Lowndes County, all of Brooks 175. I told you I get to mix stuff. I apologize. These are the super districts and the districts, the House districts as well. All part of Lowndes County, all of Brooks County, and a good portion of Thomas County as well. Obviously, J.C., you're running for this office because you would like to see some changes made. What are some of the other major issues that you would like to focus on if elected?
Well, we need to look at hope. I mean, hope has been decimated, and I don't care what anyone says. There's no reason for it other than the fact that we should have never, ever stopped or dropped the income cap. Now, it only stands to reason that we never had these problems until the income cap was dropped. Now, again, here's another case. When Zell Miller had this brainchild, it was never meant for folks that could afford to send their children to school and didn't need to apply for Pell Grants or any kind of student aid in the first place. It was meant to bring Georgia to the level of other competing states by ensuring that folks that traditionally couldn't go to college could suddenly begin to go to college. And when the Hope Scholarship first came to be, we saw records amount of children and families where for the first time a child in that family was going to college. Now, all of a sudden now, I wish I'd have brought these actual figures, but a report, that's right, the report came out and said that more affluent communities in North Georgia are getting Hope Scholarship at a greater level than rural and poor communities in Georgia. It's not ever what it was meant to be. And we need to relook at those things. Now, I looked at Hope yesterday before I went to the forum, and on the Georgia Lottery website, and it said that Georgia is having a record year in lottery. Where's that money going? If we're having well, I'll tell you where it's going. It's going to different administration budgets and different areas it has no business going. We need to put that money where it belongs. We didn't have that money before Hope. Where's it going? Well, when you start having folks that are making, like I said, $800,000–900,000 a year, and they have one child, what are they doing getting 75% of Hope? It is not fair when you have a family in South Georgia, for instance, who's making $35,000 a year and have 4 children, and they're getting less than that person in North Georgia is getting. It's not right. So we need to be honest. You see, it's a cliche, I guess, but it's the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. And we need to start thinking about our folks in South Georgia, and thinking about the folks that are under the medium income range.
Again, that Hope Scholarship is, they've talked about changes in it, and it's going to have to be changed if it's going to survive. I think everybody's kind of, I don't think anybody disagrees with that. There's going to have to be some changes.
It's simple math. You take out the equation of if you're making over $400,000 a year, and there's a lot of ways you can do it. I'm not begrudging anyone because they go out and work hard and make a lot of money. I'm not begrudging that for person, but I don't also want the person who cannot afford to send their children to be penalized either. The reason the Hope was designed was to help folks that traditionally could not go to college. Let's stick to the preamble of Hope. Let's not change the game plan to where, again, folks that can afford to send their children get the benefits of sending their child to school, and now take that money they would have used traditionally to send their child to school. Now they get to invest that money, so when their child gets out, they can say, well, here, son, here's $50,000 or $60,000 that we would have spent if you went to college, but we put it in the bank account for you, and so now here it is. Come on, something's not right there. Are we thinking about just a segment of Georgia, or are we concerned about all of Georgia? And I'm concerned about all of Georgia.
I mean, you also talked about jobs last night and getting more industries, more good kinds of jobs coming to South Georgia, which kind of goes hand in hand with education, obviously.
Sure.
But that's a big contingent. Everybody's wanting to know. And really the questions that we got submitted last night at the forum for the state races generally were around how do you bring more employment to South Georgia? Again, unemployment rate still high. How do you bring more of those jobs here?
You know, how do you get up every morning and take a bath? You know, you start one foot at a time. What we've done, we keep saying, we keep using this this excuse that there are not jobs in America. Well, one, we have to start ensuring that we stop outsourcing jobs. That's the first thing, and it starts on a local level. We have to start making sure that our folks realize that we have companies in Georgia that's outsourcing jobs. That's one thing. We need to talk about that. But the other thing is this, is that you're never going to bring industry. You're never going to bring industry to an area if, in fact, you don't get out there and hit the bricks and ask for that industry to come. It's as simple as that. Now, again, we have I-10, we have 75, we have 95. We're less than hour and a half from 16 and 2 hours from 20. I'm sorry, 3 hours from 20. We are in a perfect situation. But Chris, you know, the state of Georgia spends less money on tourism than any state in the United States. Georgia does.
Wow.
Okay. Now, how do people know about us? What, you know, they know Atlanta. How are people going to know about us? You know, we can only burden taxpayers so much by using industrial authority. There's other ways to attract folks here. Georgia needs to make a better effort at a campaign to bring industry to Georgia, not just to Atlanta. We have the perfect climate here. There's so many things we have. That's why I came here 21 years ago and planned to never leave. There are industries that have come to Atlanta, like Martin's and like Steve Lee. These people love it. They understand this is one of the best kept secrets in America. But why are we keeping it a secret? We don't need to keep it a secret. What we need to do, we need to get with all our surrounding counties that's in our MSA
Metropolitan status area.
Right. And we need to start working together instead of working against each other. You know, when we bring a corporation like Home Depot distribution or Lowe's distribution, that helps all the surrounding counties. We can bring other industry here. Why don't we have an automaker here? Why not? Why don't we? Well, we need to work together to ensure it doesn't matter if it's in the city limits of Valdosta or the county limits of Lowndes. We need to work together for the betterment of South Georgia.
Those are just lines on the map, and that's including the Georgia-Florida line as well.
That's right. Yes, sir.
JC, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it as always, and thanks for being there last night as well. Good to see you.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, and I just would like to ask everyone to don't forget to go out and vote today. And all of next week and next Saturday, Chris, you know, we're going to have Saturday voting.
Yeah, 9 to 4.
No, was it 9 to 4?
I think it's 9 to 4 that Saturday.
9 to 4, okay.
And then last week 7 to 7. So.
That's right. All last week 7 to 7. So please come out and vote. And again, I want to just tell people, when you go vote, don't look for the Republican or Democrat. Look for the best candidate that's going to speak for you. Thank you.
And also, how can folks find out more about it? You get a webpage of it?
Yeah, I have a webpage at jc4staterep.com. I'm on Facebook. They say I Twitter also, but I have a political page on Facebook, which is JC Cunningham for Georgia representative. So I appreciate everyone's support, and Chris, I appreciate you being fair and always, you know, give me an opportunity to come and speak.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and come right back. We got more of the Morning Drive coming up. Your local news and Fox News coming up at the bottom of the hour. More of the Morning Drive right after this on News Talk 105.9. This is WVGA.